Pocket Prize Fighter!
Ever play a game with such low expectations that it becomes a pleasant surprise it doesn't suck? We've seen this in episode 12, Mortal Kombat 2. After the painful port of the original, the second offering was a delight in comparison. But what about our main topic, Ring Rage? I remember seeing it as a kid and deciding to either get that game or WWF Warzone on the Game Boy. And I picked Warzone, by the way. Ring Rage was released to arcades in 1992 by way of Taito, better known as those guys that made Space Invaders and Bubble Bobble. It copied the digitized look and movements of Pit Fighter, but opting to fight in wrestling rings instead of dive bars. The arcade version looks pretty wild too, with interesting characters, and it even has weapons. Since Pit Fighter was ported over to like every system known to man, even the Game Boy, which I reviewed, you'd think Ring Rage would get the same treatment, but sadly that wouldn't be the case, as the little handheld was the only port to be released. On the surface, the game presents itself as a wrestling cart, but plays way more like a fighter. You choose from a roster of 5 competitors in the TWA, that's Title Wrestling Federation. Its champion, Killer Kane, has issued an open challenge to face the winner of the tournament. You have your bland goody-two-shoes Gunboat Roddy, the 7-foot-tall giant Spike, the karate master Yasha, the evil foreigner Shaddam, and the ever-loving kickboxer KO Joe. Not a big selection by any stretch, but at least we don't have a bloated roster of 15 plus fighters to pick from, which is kinda nice.
Swelling of the fluid sac surrounding the brain.
Just like the arcade game, we have simple controls at our fingertips. The A and B buttons throw various punches and kicks, and hitting both buttons will unleash a bigger attack. You can also run by double tapping either direction, and perform running moves with the same button combinations already mentioned. You can attack an opponent while they're lying on the mat, fly off the top rope, and pin your foe for a 3 count by pressing both buttons down. Very simple here. There's also a few grapple moves you can pull off by moving into your opponent. A charge meter will appear, and button mashing while pressing a direction will pull off a different move. Just mashing alone will deliver a strike, holding down will do an Irish whip, holding left or right will do a throw, and up will execute their finishing move, complete with epileptic-inducing flashing backgrounds. I must say, these finishers are pretty basic looking, but they are fun to pull off, and they do tremendous amounts of damage. Overall, the controls feel good and tight, so a big thumbs up here.
You don't like it? We don't care, because we're not changing.
See, the main goal is to square off against Killer Kane in the tournament mode. You fight all around the USA and Canada, and depending where you fight, you'll end up in normal rings, a cage match in Chicago, where you can bounce their heads off of it, super satisfying by the way, and another cage in New York, I guess? It kind of looks like a cage. Hey, it changes up the venue, and they look pretty good, so why not, eh? Speaking of which, the graphics aren't too shabby in my opinion, with each wrestler looking unique, although Kane is just a copy of Gunboat Roddy, kinda lame. Still, there are height differences with characters like Spike and Yasha, which are a nice touch.
What a rush! Good for us, bad for you.
The music is pretty decent. I like the title theme as well as the ending theme, but the standout track to me is the first fight track. It's headbanging good fun. Take a listen. The thing that sets this game apart and makes this game really fun in Ring Rage is the extra mode, one-player extra mode. This is where the game gets really fun because not only can you select your difficulty, but you can also pick your opponent as well as the venue. You fight in a best-of-3 match and must pin your opponent twice to claim victory. I spent the vast majority of my time here picking and choosing different matchups and venues. I love when fighters have this option to just pick whatever and fight it out in one match. Although tournament mode isn't that long, you only have one shot to complete it. Lose a match and you'll have to restart from the beginning. It's a pain. In extra mode, just play to your heart's content. One thing that did bug me was the choice of moves for each character. For example, Shadam has a throat thrust move he can perform in like a regular grapple. Well, his finisher is the exact same move, just with the camera zoomed in. Spike has the same thing for his finisher, the big boot. It's kind of lame, and I wish that they gave him a more unique looking move. It's just a little nitpick here, but it's kind of lame. Ring Rage was an unexpected surprise to me. The graphics aren't too bad with bigger sprites for the finishers. There's different rings to fight in too, which is really nice. The roster isn't that big, but the music is good, and the simple mechanics made it highly addictive. If you want a fighting/wrestling game to just pop in for a quick match or two, you won't find much better. I give it a solid recommendation here. Ring Rage is a ton of fun. Check it out.